At approximately 9:30 in the morning, from inside the White House, the President of the United States took a phone call from CNN's Dana Bash and confirmed something many of us have feared for months. While we are now involved in a full-blown war he started just a week before in Iran, he is already planning his next takeover, somewhere much closer to home. He has his eye on Cuba next. He said Cuba is gonna fall pretty soon. By the way, unrelated, but Cuba is gonna fall too. They want to make a deal so badly, he told Bash. They want to make a deal, and so I'm going to put Marco over there, and we'll see how that works out. We're really focused on this one right now. We've got plenty of time, but Cuba's ready after 50 years. Then he added, as if he were describing the expansion of a real estate portfolio and not the fate of an entire country, I've been watching it for 50 years, and it's fallen right into my lap because of me. It's fallen, but it's nevertheless fallen right into my lap, and we're doing very well. And just one day earlier, while holding an event to celebrate the visit of the 2025 Major League Soccer champions, Inter Miami CF, he went off on the same tangent and said it even more plainly. He told Rubio that Cuba would be his next project, that they just needed to finish Iran first, and that Cuba wanted to make a deal so badly, you have no idea. Then he added, we could do them all at the same time, but bad things happen if you watch countries over the years. You do them all too fast, bad things happen. And that was it. Once again, the President of the United States speaking in riddles only he understands, while telling us exactly what he plans to do in another country, and doing it the way someone talks about episodes of a reality TV show. Finish one storyline first, then move on to the next one that is even more outrageous than the last. Except these are not television episodes. They are real countries, real people, and real lives that will be upended by the war and violence that follows when powerful nations decide that they have the right to take over other nations on a whim. And the most disturbing part is the tone. There is a kind of excitement in the way he talks about it, as if every new conflict is another victory lap, another big reveal, another moment meant to dominate the headlines. Because that's what this feels like. A man who spent decades living inside the world of reality television, now treating international conflict the same way, one spectacle after another. But this is not television, and he is not going to stop. There's Venezuela, Ecuador, Iran, and now Cuba, and most likely after that, Greenland. He hasn't forgotten about Greenland. He never forgets when he is denied something he wants. We are watching him feed his ego and desperate need to be seen as powerful while taking country after country. And that's while the rest of us watch the cost of living climb and the job market collapse around us. And as much as he says any of this is about the economy or safety, it's not. It's really not. It's about Donald Trump building an empire and bigger bank accounts for himself. And every country he targets, every war he starts, and every conflict he refuses to end is costing us here at home in ways that are now impossible to ignore. Because during that one phone call, Dana Bash asked the question millions of Americans are wondering about. What about the price of gas? His answer was as dismissive as it was dishonest. That's all right, he said. It will be short-term. It will go down very quickly. When she pushed back and pointed out that prices are already high, he simply denied it. No, they're not, he said. They're up a little bit, not much, but it will drop to record lows. And that's a lie, and has always been a lie. And that same day, the numbers made it undeniable. But let's go back to August of 2024, with Trump standing behind a table of packaged food, milk, eggs, groceries, looking straight into the camera and promising that the day he took office, prices would fall. Immediately, he said, day one, he repeated it at the Republican National Convention. We will drive down prices and make America affordable again. He said it again after he won. I won on groceries, he told NBC. I won the election based on that. No new wars, cheaper eggs, the greatest economy the world has ever seen. That was the promise. And almost immediately after being sworn in, the backpedaling began. He said it's hard to bring things down once they're up. That's what he admitted. You know, it's very hard. And yet he keeps pretending these promises were kept while the data keeps telling us a different story. And on March 6, 2026, we saw the full economic picture. It finally came into focus. The United States lost 92,000 jobs in February. Economists had expected a gain of at least 50,000. Instead, we went backwards. The unemployment rate rose to 4.4%. December's job numbers, which had been reported as a gain of 48,000, were quietly revised to a loss of 17,000. January was revised down by another 4,000. And add that up, and we've been told 69,000 more jobs existed than actually did. And this isn't a fluke. 2025 marked the first year since the aftermath of the 2008 financial collapse that saw 5 separate months of labor market contraction. Since Trump took office, the U.S. economy has averaged fewer than 5,000 new jobs per month. He has slashed the federal workplace by over 330,000 positions, an 11% cut. Long-term employment is now up to 25.7 weeks, the highest since 2021. Manufacturing lost another 12,000 jobs. Healthcare lost 28,000. Transportation and warehousing are collapsing, down 157,000 jobs in a single year. And his war is making every single one of those numbers worse. Oil broke $90 a gallon, the highest in years. U.S. crude surged nearly 35% in a single week, the largest weekly spike in the history of oil futures trading, dating all the way back to 1983. Gas prices jumped 34 cents in just 1 week to $3.32 a gallon, the steepest weekly increase since the early days of the Ukraine invasion. And experts are warning oil could hit $100 by just a week later. And Qatar's energy minister is saying it could top $150 if the war escalates further. And the president told the country just that morning that prices aren't high. The Dow dropped 453 points. The S&P 500 fell by 1.3%. The Nasdaq dropped 1.6%. All 3 indexes are now negative for the year. Mortgage rates jumped back to 6%, thus slamming the door on any hope of a housing recovery. Retail sales dropped again in January, and nearly everything we buy is still going up in price. And it will come as no surprise that there are still industries making money. The oil companies, the weapons manufacturers, and the people whose business models depend on permanent conflict. The people who profit every time he pushes us and other countries into crisis. That is who is winning in Trump's economy, not us or our families. And while the economy was bleeding out today, the President of the United States was sitting in a room with the CEOs of the largest weapon manufacturers in America, asking them to build more missiles. He posted about it himself on Truth Social. He said, "We just concluded a very good meeting with the largest U.S. defense manufacturing companies where we discussed production and production schedules. They have agreed to quadruple production of the exquisite class weaponry in that we want to reach, as rapidly as possible, the highest level of quantity." The companies at that table were BAE Systems, Boeing, Honeywell Aerospace, L3 Harris, Missile Solutions, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. And on that same day, we learned just how bad the economy already is. While the president tried to convince us it was great, and while he committed more money for more weapons of war, his administration announced a $20 billion reinsurance program for oil tankers operating during the Iran war. That's more of our money, flowing to corporations and wars decided by one person. This is the pattern of every authoritarian war economy in modern history. It's not new. The leader promises prosperity and national greatness. The money flows to weapons and war. The industries closest to the regime get richer, and everyday people get crushed. In Nazi Germany, Hitler promised full employment. He delivered it through a massive military buildup funded almost entirely by debt and deficit spending. By the late 1930s, nearly 60% of all government expenditures went to the military. Wages for average workers stagnated or fell. Consumer goods became scarce. The economy looked powerful on paper, but it was hollow underneath, an unsustainable machine that could only survive through conquest and expansion. Historian Adam Tooze called it the wages of destruction. Every new territory Hitler seized was an attempt to outrun an economy that was already a ticking time bomb. It ended in total collapse and the death of tens of millions of people. The formula never changes. You just have to convince people that you, and only you, can solve all their problems. Get them to believe that there are simple solutions to complex problems, and then promise them the world. Spend limitless public money on war, and make sure your friends and donors get rich. And when the bill comes, when the prices surge, and jobs vanish and savings are gutted, blame someone else. Blame the immigrants, blame the opposition, blame the media, blame the very people trying to hold power accountable, but never take responsibility or admit the truth. Because the entire machine depends on keeping ordinary people too exhausted, too overwhelmed, and too divided to realize who is actually robbing them. And Trump is following this playbook step by step. And we are the ones paying for it, with our jobs, with our savings, with our grocery bills, and now with our fellow Americans' lives. Because as of right now, 6 Americans have already died. And we can only ask, how many more will it cost? We wanted affordable health care and housing and food. We wanted our children to get an education and grow up in peace. We wanted advancements in science and medicine. We wanted people to live longer and be healthier. We wanted the LGBTQIA+ community to have the same rights and safety as everyone else. We wanted progress towards ending racism. This is what we asked for. Instead, we are spending our money on missiles and oil tanker insurance and wars that no one voted for, while 6 members of our military so far have come home in flag-draped coffins, and the president says, that's just the way it is. So what do we do now? We keep moving forward with everything we've been doing, but we do it louder. And we do it with more intention than ever before. We contact our representatives and we tell them plainly, we are keeping count. Every dollar this administration has stolen, redirected, or funneled into wars and contracts that benefit the few at the expense of everyone else. We tell them we don't want our money going to war. We don't want more Americans killed in conflicts that Congress never authorized and the public never voted for. We want Congress, not one man, deciding when and where this country drops missiles, because that is what the Constitution requires. And if our representatives won't demand that, we will find ones who will. And we make sure that every dollar we spend reflects the country we want to live in. We support local businesses. We support companies that have made it clear where they stand. We've seen this work. We've seen what happens when consumers pay attention and spend accordingly. They feel it, and when enough of us make that choice, it changes the equation. And we continue to support independent voices, and I don't just mean mine. Think about all of the people bringing you the information you rely on every day. The economists running the numbers, the journalists making sure we still have access to the truth. Think about the researchers, the writers, the creators still doing this work. Let them know it matters. Comment on what they share, subscribe if you can, and send their work to someone who needs to see it. Forward it to the person in your life who deep down would not be okay with any of this if they actually saw the full picture. Because not everyone is seeing it. That is by design, which means some of the most important work we can do right now is to bridge the gap between the truth and the people who are still open to hearing it. History tells us how this ends. Not for us, but for them. Every authoritarian who has promised prosperity and delivered war. Every regime that enriched the few while crushing everyone else. Every leader who believed the lies would hold. They all fell. And the people, the ordinary, exhausted, and fed up people who refused to stop pushing, they are the ones who brought them down every single time. And that's why I still have hope for America, and you should too. If you've made it this far, we are definitely on the same side of history. I'm trying to get this message to reach as many people as possible, so please take a moment, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, anything to let the algorithm know to show it to more people. And for all of my daily posts, you can find me on Substack by searching Heather Delaney Reese, and I've included a link for you below. And remember, no matter how dark the days get, I will be here every single day, and together, we will always have hope for America. I'll see you tomorrow.